Hi everyone, this is my One Book July intro video that's 11 days late. I had really good intentions, but it didn't work out. So I'm going to try to show you quickly what I plan to do and where I've been with planners so far this year, since we're about halfway through the year. I'm very excited for One Book July because I watched it last year. I watched all the videos and loved it and thought I should have done this. So I'm glad I'm doing it this year. And you'll see quickly that I definitely need it. So this is what I started the year off in. This is a Hobonichi Weeks in a By Paper Flowers Designs leather cover, which is beautiful. I wanted to be as minimal as possible. I like the monthly layout, and I was using, the weekly, which I really like, with to-dos on the right. I think what hung me up was I really wanted daily pages, and I was afraid to use the pages at the back because I was just concerned I was going to run out. And then for larger planning, well, I'll kind of go through the evolution with you, but I'm always torn between wanting to carry things with me and having bigger space to write certain things, like collections. I tend to use a bullet journal type of model. So I want a larger area to write collections and that kind of thing, and this doesn't lend itself to that. This is really portable and awesome. The other issue I had, and this is just clearly my hang up because nobody else complains about this, I don't like the Tomo River paper. I know everybody loves it, but I find that it shows through to the other side. I have carpal tunnel. I have really bad handwriting. I don't like looking at my own handwriting. There's something about that paper that makes my handwriting even worse. I know I sound like a crazy person, but that's kind of how I feel about it. So that one went away. And then I went into, I'm a huge Chic Sparrow fan. I have a lot of Chic Sparrow notebooks. My little glass heart here is just so I can tell where to put my books with my tripod because I'm not really used to the tripod. The Chic Sparrow notebooks, I have a lot in different sizes. I've gone through different sizes over the years. I really like the wide because I like the May Designs notebooks. So what I was doing was a bullet journal model. This was my monthly, nice big, blocks for the days. And then I had other notebooks in here, but this was a collections notebook, a bullet journal collections notebook. And I had some notes on books in here, some notes on getting things done. If any of you follow Boho Berry, she was talking about this book, Getting Things Done. I had read it when I was younger. And something about reading it again now really clicked with me. So I was taking notes on that. So this was my collections. And then I had a different book for dailies and that kind of thing. And then I just had the pouch in here. But I moved on from that. I can't exactly tell you why, to my Giglio. I probably got bored. So this is my issue with planners in a nutshell. It's not that they don't work for me, so I move on. They all work for me, so I move on. I love them. I love spirals. I love ring-bound planners. I love Traveler's Notebook. So what happens is I go into a ring binder like this, and then I miss my Traveler's Notebook. It's like a vicious cycle. So this was my Giglio. I had a really good setup in here. My setup is pretty much always the same. So it's monthly and then a weekly. I really need a week like this. This was, bringing things to class and stuff for the end of the school year. I really like that layout, and I love so much crafting inserts, and I love the, what does she call this? Week on 4 pages. So this size was perfect for just all of my to-dos for each day. And then I had a finance section in the back, and this brings me to sort of what I'm doing for One Book July. I want to do the one book part of the challenge, but I'm already failing at that because I have 2 books, but I wanted to do the 2.0. I wanted to take on a project, and I really wanted to clean up how I handle my finances. I think like a lot of people, I wind up turning around saying, you know, where did all my money go? I had this much 3 days ago, and what have I done with it? So I have these nice inserts. I was starting to use these, but I felt like I needed a bigger workspace to kind of work out pay periods and a good budget and that kind of thing. And there's something about the personal size, the narrowness of the paper sometimes gets to me. And I feel like I can't do good brainstorming type of work in a narrow. Which brought me to the A6. This is also a Chic Sparrow notebook. This is probably my favorite Chic Sparrow notebook I've ever gotten. It's insanely pebbly. I don't know if you can see it there, but it's just absolutely gorgeous. And the A6 size I love because it fits really nicely in your hand, but it's a little bit wider, you know, than the personal, because I've had personal traveler's notebooks also, and they were just a little too skinny. So I have here an Annika Handby folder that I just totally love. This is a Maybook that I cut down. I mean, you know, it's not the world's greatest looking thing because of the perspective of the graphic, but it was good enough. And I love dot grid. So what I was doing here was taking a Marsha Bermucci weekly, and I was just taping it into my insert. I had the weekly tracker, which I really liked, and my daily. So in one big spread, I could see my weekly, my checklist for the week, and my daily page. I really like to have a daily page no matter what kind of planner I'm working in. So this worked really nicely. And then this is just a grid notebook that I would use for shopping lists and my incoming list. Again, I try to use a getting things done model, which instead of a brain dump, he calls it a mind sweep, where you are anything that's incoming in your mind, doesn't matter what it is, you just list it there, and then you parse it out to either a weekly or a daily list. And then this notebook I had my collections in. If you are a paper snob, go get yourself an Apica notebook. This paper is seriously the most beautiful paper I've ever seen. It is so gorgeous. I don't use fountain pen, but I'm sure it takes fountain pen beautifully. So this was, my collections were in here. And I actually really loved this and was using it for a while, and then got interested because I liked the A6 size in a Vanderspec. So I had never had Vanderspec leather before. It's completely amazing. They call this model the Touch Me leather, which I thought was frankly kind of a funny name. However, when you get it, you figure out why, because you can't seriously stop petting this thing. So this is the A6 size. It's called the Senior, and it is, you know, what I like about ring notebooks is you can move things around. So I go back and forth between being on rings, loving them, but missing something about the traveler's notebook. But then I have to use a whole booklet for something in the traveler's notebook, and then it drives me a little crazy. So, you know, clearly I need help. So I had in here from Pembroke Papers, a yearly pullout. I had different calendars for different things for my kids' camp, and then I have a regular monthly. And I really liked the size of this. I felt like this was just the right size to fill in the things I need in the monthly. I made these dividers with my Planner Society kit. This is how I would do my daily daily and weekly. Same thing that I did in the other book. Weekly stuff on the side, daily to-dos here. And then the finance piece, you know, I kept getting stuck on this. I just didn't have a format I liked. I got this from Ms. Wenda. I tried to use that. I just couldn't get into a groove with the financial stuff in this binder. So then I really went off the rails and decided that, I don't know, this shouldn't be One Book July. This should be like, get this woman some kind of intervention. I decided to go to a pocket and an Erin Condren together. Now, I'm a little bit of a sucker for the Erin Condren launch every year. I kind of can't control myself. So what I did was got the new Erin Condren with the gold coil, because, you know, You have to. And then I got myself this Chic Sparrow Mr. Darcy in Toffee. I'm trying to put this in, the light's a little weird, which is beautiful. I mean, if you look at it up close, it's gorgeous. I rolled it, then loved it even more. So my only issue with the pocket, which I've had these before, and you know, it's fine if you want 3 or 4 fairly thin notebooks. But my issue was, and I blame Mandy Sills for this because I love her videos. She did a video on her 2016 setup that had this notebook in it. And I'll show you the rest of this in a minute. But it had this moleskin notebook in beige. And you see how fat this notebook is? But the reason I like this notebook is it is sewn. And there's something about the sewn binding, I like the way it lays. So we'll fast forward to this guy in a minute. But my issue with this Chic Sparrow was it was too fat. And I know there's lots of people who have these big fat traveler's notebooks. I don't like that because when you go to write in it, I like it to lay somewhat flat. And when I open it, I don't like everything to be sticking up like this. That drives me crazy. So as much as I loved this, I started watching YouTube videos, which we all know is a disaster. But I started watching YouTube videos and found videos on a notebook made by Speckled Fawns. Some people had what was called the chunky. This is the snickerdoodle. So get a load of this binding. So the difference with this notebook, and this one is 4 strings with a 1-inch binding. Something about that binding makes the notebooks just lay nicer, and it's just everything lays so flat, and I love it. Nothing's popping up. And it could be all in my mind, but when I'm writing in this, everything just lays very flat. So this is the snickerdoodle, which I love. It's very thick leather. You have to be okay with that because it's super thick. She even says that in her description. So I was using this one and I was in love with it, but I was using this one with this setup that I have in this other Speckled Fawns that I just bought that I'm madly in love with. So 12 minutes later, ladies and gentlemen, these are my 2 books right now. This is where I've landed. And I love both of these Speckled Fawns notebooks so much that I probably will just be jumping, like changing shoes back and forth between the 2 of them. This one is the teal Horween leather. It's gorgeous. It's so pliable. I mean, look at that. And it's not too thick. It's not too heavy. It's really actually a light notebook. Terry is wonderful at Speckled Fawns. She's awesome to work with. So this is my main planner that I carry around. I'm going to do a separate setup video on this so this isn't too long. But in a nutshell, for One Book July, what I am doing is carrying this as my everyday carry, notes, anything that comes up goes in here. My bigger planning for the week, for the month, goes in here. So again, in my setup, you'll see more. But I like the big monthly, I like the big weekly, and then I have finance pages at the back. So if you really want to be tortured by more of my indecision, feel free to keep watching my videos. I'm going to do a separate setup video so you can see how I use the 2 of them together. I've been loving watching everyone else's videos and keep them coming. Unfortunately, you're probably going to make me keep buying new notebooks, but maybe my finances will be a little better organized at the end and I'll stop buying things. Have a good day, guys.